If you wanted to start a business, Japan after World War II was one of the worst places to do it. However, inside a bomb-damaged office building in Tokyo, two engineers defied the odds and pursued their dream. Fast forward to today, Sony is everywhere. From consumer electronics to music, movies, video games, and even robotic pets, Sony does it all. But with such a vast reach, they've made plenty of enemies. Over the years, Sony has been betrayed by Nintendo, survived fierce competition, and even faced alleged cyber attacks from North Korea. This is the story of how Sony rose from a struggling radio repair service to a $100 billion empire. Chapter 1. Bombs, Failures, and Rice Cookers. Akio Morita was born in 1921 and was expected to take over his family's brewing business. Even as a child, he attended board meetings, but his true passion was technology. He convinced his father to let him study physics and engineering instead of business. This decision might have saved his life. When Japan entered World War II, most young men were sent to fight. But because Akio was an engineer, he was assigned to work in weapons development. This is where he met his future business partner, Masaru Ibuka. Both men shared a passion for technology but despised its use for war. When the war ended in 1945, Japan was left in ruins, and Akio and Masaru went their separate ways. Masaru started a small company despite Japan's dire economic conditions. At first, he tried making an electric rice cooker, but it failed. His next attempt, an electric heating blanket, was unsafe and also flopped. However, he eventually found success with a radio repair service, as many Japanese radios had been damaged or disabled by the government during the war. His work was featured in a magazine, which Akio read. Inspired, Akio reached out to Masaru and they decided to start a company together. Akio's father supported his decision and even gave them 190,000 yen to start the business. In 1946, they founded the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Corporation, the company that would later become Sony. Chapter 2. Breakthroughs. For the first few years, the company struggled, but in 1950, they found their first success with a tape recorder. Soon after, they learned about a new technology called transistors, which had the potential to revolutionize electronics. Akio traveled to the U.S. to secure a license for the technology. During this trip, he was shocked by America's skyscrapers and Germany's economic recovery. Compared to these countries, Japan seemed far behind. This realization ignited his ambition. He wanted to make Made in Japan a symbol of quality. With transistors in hand, they began developing a new product, a transistor radio. They launched their first model in 1955, but it wasn't until the TR-63, marketed as a pocket-sized radio, that Sony truly broke through. They even made shirts with oversized pockets to ensure the radio fit. By the late 1950s, Sony was growing rapidly. They expanded to the US, became the first Japanese company listed on the American stock market, and developed the Trinitron Color TV, which became a global sensation. Chapter 3. The Format Wars. In the 1970s, Sony introduced Betamax, a video cassette recorder that allowed people to record TV shows. However, it faced stiff competition from VHS. Even though Betamax had better quality, VHS was cheaper and could store more content. As a result, VHS won the market battle, and Betamax flopped. This was a major loss for Sony, but Akio wasn't giving up. He bet everything on a new product, the Sony Walkman. The idea of a portable music player with headphones was seen as foolish at the time, but Akio believed in it. He even promised to quit if it didn't sell 30,000 units. The Walkman went on to sell 385 million units and changed the way people listen to music forever. This success led Sony to expand further into the music industry. They partnered with Philips to create the CD and later acquired CBS Records, forming Sony Music Entertainment. This allowed them to dominate the music industry from multiple angles, producing CDs, selling CD players, and owning record labels. Chapter 4. Sony vs. Nintendo. In 1991, Sony partnered with Nintendo to develop a CD-based gaming add-on for the Super Nintendo. However, Nintendo betrayed Sony and partnered with Philips instead. Enraged, Sony decided to go solo and develop the PlayStation. Released in 1994, the PlayStation was a massive success. Its use of CDs allowed developers to create more ambitious games, and it outsold Nintendo's competing console by a huge margin. Sony followed up with the PlayStation 2, which became the best-selling game console of all time. Sony had officially conquered the gaming industry, but their ambition didn't stop there. Chapter 5. Sony vs. Marvel. In 1998, Marvel was struggling financially. Sony saw an opportunity and purchased the film rights to Spider-Man for just $7 million. The first Spider-Man movie, released in 2002, made $825 million at the box office. Over time, Spider-Man films have generated nearly $9 billion in revenue for Sony. Interestingly, Marvel had offered Sony the rights to all their characters for $25 million, but Sony turned it down, thinking other Marvel heroes weren't valuable. This turned out to be a massive missed opportunity, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe later became a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Still, Sony's investment in Spider-Man has remained one of the best deals in film history. Now, Chapter 6, Sony versus North Korea. In 2014, Sony was hit by a massive cyber attack. A hacker group called Guardians of Peace stole terabytes of data, including employee information, unreleased movies, and embarrassing emails. The attack was linked to Sony's release of The Interview, a comedy that mocked North Korea's leader. The FBI accused North Korea of orchestrating the hack, but some cybersecurity experts remained skeptical, regardless of who was responsible. The attack was devastating. Enter Chapter 7, Sony's legacy. Despite facing betrayals, failures, and cyber attacks, Sony has continued to innovate. They've expanded into industries like robotics, banking, and even electric cars. From its humble beginnings in post-war Japan, Sony has become one of the most influential technology companies in the world. While they've made mistakes along the way, their willingness to take risks has kept them at the forefront of innovation. Whether it's music, movies, gaming, or electronics, Sony's impact on the world is undeniable. Let me know what you think about Sony's journey in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out the story of Samsung, Sony's biggest rival. Just click the thumbnail on screen to watch it now. Cheers!